Find the area under the standard normal curve that lies to the left of z equals 0.42. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it in the calculator. So I know the view an example, help me solve this button probably goes through it a different way. But I think this is the easiest method once you have it done. And it's a little bit quicker because you don't have to convert everything back to a z-score to do your problem. So you can just use everything the way that you have it. And it's a little bit quicker. You don't have to worry about rounding or any kind of issues there. So a good thing to do is to always draw out a picture to represent your problem. So we have our standard normal curve here. We're working with z-scores. I'm going to put down z here. And we know that 0 is in the middle, and roughly let's draw in a couple values here. So we know z-scores, right? It's a standard normal curve. And we want to know to the left of 0.42. So we have 0.42 roughly there or so, and to the left. So we know it should be larger than 0.5, right? So in the calculator, we have something called normal CDF. So normal CDF is when you have a normal curve and you want to calculate the probability or the proportion or the area under the curve. So that's exactly what we want to do here. So normal, and then CDF, so cumulative density function here. So the next thing we need to know is what parameters to type in. So we have 4 parameters in here. We're like working with binomial CDF, we have 3. So we have the lower bound, the upper bound, the mean, and then the standard deviation. And a lot of times you'll see me write lower bound and then upper bound for those. So those are our parameters. So we have to figure out what the lower bound and upper bound is and mean and standard deviation before we can type this in our calculator. So we look at our graph and we want to know where are we starting out on the left-hand side, where do we end at on the right-hand side, or vice versa. So it's always smallest number to largest number. So in this case, remember this graph goes on forever, right? So we're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So we're approaching negative infinity. But how do we represent that on our calculator? So when we represent that on our calculator, what we do is we write negative 1e 99. So maybe you've seen that e come up before. So that e in your calculator is in scientific notation. So this negative 1e 99 is equal to negative 1 times 10 to the 99th power. So that is negative 1 and then a ton of zeros there. So a really large number. So, or in this case, a really small number, so the smallest number we can put in. And then we want to find the area up until 0.42, so that is our upper bound. So if we're looking at the area to the left, our lower bound is always going to be that negative 1e99. And the mean is standard deviation. So anytime we're working with C's, our mean is going to be 0 and our standard deviation will be 1. So if you guys have a calculator that has the menu, your mean and standard deviation, I think, defaults to 0 and 1. So now we're going to type that into our calculator and that'll actually find the area for us. So let's do that. So we're going to do second vars 2. So that'll get us to normal CDF. So second vars 2, that gives us normal CDF. And then we're going to type in our lower bound. So to do that, we're going to do negative 1. And then to get the E, you're going to do second, comma, and 9. So we're going to do negative 1, second, comma, so the comma is just above the 7, 9, 9, and then we do a comma, and then we're going to type in our upper bound 0.42, comma, 0, comma, 1, close the parenthesis, and then press enter. So we're going to round that there, so 0.6628 there. So if you have a calculator that when you did second vars 2 and it pulled up a menu, you're just going to type in your lower, upper, mean, and standard deviation. So beside of lower, you're going to do negative 1, E99, press the down arrow, type in your upper bound, so that was 0.42, go down to the mean, type in 0, go down to standard deviation, which is sigma, and type 1, go down to paste, press enter, and then press enter again, and you should get the same value.